What's up, guys? This is Daniel with Family God and Country, back with another video finally. I had about a week there where I didn't do a video. I had a lot of shit going on. But we're going to jump right back into our inch bag series. And hopefully, as you can tell, we're going to talk about food. What I would carry in my inch bag as far as food and other things. My mindset on that is, in an inch bag or in an inch situation, you can carry all the food you can carry, but that's only going to last you a certain amount of time. You know, you've got to think about what are you going to do after that. And I'm a firm believer in you've got to carry some food. You're not going to go out and get you a deer the first day, or a squirrel, or trap anything, or, you know, but you've got to have those things, and you've got to have those skills in order to survive. You're not going to survive on canned food. You know, I do have some canned food here, and I wouldn't necessarily carry a canned good in my bag for obvious reasons, but you've got to have some type of food to sustain yourself until you're able to procure meat via traps or a firearm here, maybe a wrist rocket, which I think people underestimate as a way to get meat. I can hit a rabbit or a squirrel with that. If I can get within 10 yards, which is pretty easy, I can hit a squirrel or a rabbit with that, no problem. And I'm not wasting bullets. You can use marbles, rocks, ball bearings. There's a lot of different ammo you can shoot out of these. This one has the black bands on it, which are a little bit more draw weight than the yellow bands, I believe they are. And these wrist rockets cost you, I don't know, with the black bands, probably $10. Very rarely do I hear people talk about wrist rockets or air rifles. I also am a firm believer in carrying an air rifle. You can carry 10,000 rounds of 22 caliber air rifle and not even know you're carrying it. You know, that's a lot harder to do with something like, you know, I've got a 17 HMR here, and though they are fairly small as well, it definitely is more weight, and then you're also using ammunition that you can't reproduce. I've got some food items here that I want to show as well, so we'll get into the food items, and then we'll talk about the traps and my opinion on the ratio between those two things. So stay with me. Alright guys, so I just want to talk real quick about different food items that you can carry. There is a lot of different options, and you definitely do want to carry something. You don't want to leave in that type of situation, not have anything to sustain yourself. You've got to have some type of nutrition. Start with this here, the big bucket right in the middle here. And what this is a National Geographic 6-day food supply for one person. So I figure for 3 or 4 people, it's probably a day, 24 hours, something like that. And it includes different meals. It's got breakfast, lunch, and dinners in it. I believe there's 66 servings for one person, and it's got a total of almost 14,000 calories in it. A bug-in type situation. This does have some weight to it. It's not bad though, really. Also, it's multi-purpose, and you have another container that you can carry water, carry whatever you need to carry in it. I have several of these that I store, also along with my canned goods and my rice and beans and stuff like that. The next thing I want to talk about is MREs, ready-to-eat meals, because of the ease of using it. You know, you put it in your bag and you're done. It usually has everything contained in it that you need to cook it, to eat it, other than the water that will go with some of the drink mixes and stuff like that. And you have your standard, you know, military MREs. I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to open it and show everybody. You know, everybody knows what's in an MRE. I don't know how many calories. I don't know if it shows the calories. But I think if you're rationing things out, this would last you 2 days for one person. There's enough in there to get you by for 2 days. After that, you're going to have an issue if you don't have anything else. You need to start figuring out a way to procure some meat or some wild edibles. You've got to do something at that point. And just to show another style of MRE, this is one of the APAC ready meals. I carry a bunch of these in my family bug out bag, but these are basically civilian style MREs, and they're just repurposed MREs. You can see it's got the same thing in there as a military MRE would. These actually come with a little vial of salt water to activate your flameless ration heater, which is pretty cool, I think, so you won't have to use any of your drinking water for that. And we'll just go through these last things here real quick, just to show some different options. This is emergency food ration bar from Walmart, or that's where I got this one. I'm sure they sell them other places. And these are 2,400 calories, 5-year shelf life, and those were, I think one of these is like $4, around $4. And then we've all seen these. These are the easy cook rices, just add water type rice. They also have beans and mashed potatoes and stuff like that. I carry these quite a bit when I'm camping, just because they are that easy to use. You can take some margarine or some butter and add to it, but all it takes is water to cook these. You know, even your Dollar General, stuff like that, they have these, and they're usually about $1. So I don't think you can beat that. I got a couple other things here just to show different styles of storable foods. These are some shelf-stable French toast sandwiches, and I believe these have like a 20-year shelf life, something like that. It's got 330 calories, 5 grams of protein, 49 carbohydrates, no trans fat, and overall it's 200 grams of food. So, and this, I guess, is a breakfast style one, being French toast. And what's awesome about that is it's made in the United States. So let's get into what I think is the most important aspect of your food and food procurement, and that is traps and firearms. If I had to pick between traps and firearms, if I had the ammunition, I'd go with firearms every single time. To be honest with you, I'm not going to kill a deer every day of the week, or a moose, or a grizzly bear, wherever you're at. It's just not going to happen. One thing that is a lot more likely is squirrel, rabbit, possum, skunk, coon, that type of thing. Muskrat, otter. And for small game, my weapon of choice is a 17 HMR, and this is a Savage 17 HMR. I'm not going to get into it too much. I've got a BSA 17 scope on it. I can drive attack at easily 50 or 60 yards with this thing every single time, no problem. As long as I can carry enough ammunition, I would definitely rely on my skills to procure meat and have high confidence in doing that. That said, you're going to run out of ammunition at some point, and so in order to conserve that ammunition, you want to run more towards traps. Obviously, traps hunt for you. You don't have to stand there and watch by them. You don't have to pull the trigger. You don't have to sit there in the cold. I think traps are really the way to go. Now, your success rate, depending on how good of a trapper you are, can vary, obviously. You know, you can set out 10 traps and not catch anything for 10 days, or you can set out 10 traps and catch 10 things in one day. It just really depends. But what I wanted to show was just a couple different options for traps that you have that are small enough to carry in a backpack. Now, obviously, you know, you can carry something bigger, like this here. This is a 330 Conibear. I mean, who wants to carry something like that in their pack? I mean, this thing's got to weigh 3 or 4 pounds, easy. And you've also got to be very careful if you don't know what you're doing. Something like this will break your arm without a doubt. Alright guys, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this here. And these are what I would rely on for food in a long-term survival situation, a long-term bug out situation, whatever you want to call it. So I have one of each here just to show the different styles of traps you can carry. And the first one we have here, and this is just a double spring foothold for a inch bag situation where you're going to store them. Obviously, this is a fairly brand new trap. I think I've used this one maybe once or twice. You can see it's got a little bit of rust on it. It's not too bad. Still got very, very strong springs. These things in themselves are dangerous to set to a point. You've got to be careful. You've got to kind of know what you're doing. The next one we have here, and this is a body grip trap or a killing trap. This is a 110 Conibear style trap. And the way this works compared to that one is you squeeze your springs down there like that, and you've got your whiskers here, which is actually the trigger that triggers the trap, and you have your dog. And you'll set your dog on the setting that you want. You can see you have 3 different settings there. You set your dog on the setting that you want, get your whiskers lined up, set your dog, and you set that in a pathway. You set that coming out of the water on a trail you see coming in out of a creek or a pond or something like that, anywhere on a game trail, and or up in a tree for squirrel. And this is a killing trap. You won't have to dispatch the animal when you get to find it. Something like this, a foothold, you're gonna have to either use ammunition or something a little more brutal, maybe hit it with a stick, or however you're gonna kill that animal. But this will not kill it. This will kill it in a bug out situation. Whatever animal I catch in here, whether I catch his foot or his head or whatever I catch, I'll be happy with that. And the last two that we have here, first off, this is a Victor Oneida single spring foothold trap. This is the same thing as this, basically. This is a double spring, different style. Like I said, you've got to be careful with these things. Even these small ones, if you're not careful, will hurt you. Now that's a set trap. Now you have your loose jaw, which is the one that you don't, you can touch that one. This one here, you want to be careful with putting your hand anywhere near that pan. These are usually buried, well, not buried, but partially buried to where the only thing exposed is the pan. And you set this with some type of a bait set, depending on what you're trying to catch. You're not going to go out and just lay this thing out on the ground and catch something. That's not how it works. You've got to have the skill to know where to put it, how to set it, how to bait it if you need to. It's not easy. You're not going to have the immediate success. There's going to be a lot more failure than there is success, but it's something that takes no effort. Once you have the trap set, you're not expending any calories, you're not wasting any time. It's hunting for you. The last trap style that I want to show today is snares. Now these are thinner diameter cable. All the smaller game things you're going to be able to catch with this. You could probably catch a small coyote with this if they don't twist it off. Just so for people who haven't trapped or don't know, you can see this has a lock mechanism on it, so when it tightens down it won't come off. You can see I can't open my hand there. 90% of the time you're only going to get one use out of a snare, especially if you're catching a bigger animal than what you had it set for. They're going to destroy these. They're going to destroy the lock. They're going to destroy the cable. About the only thing you could probably salvage is the anchor point on the end of this here. And you either want to anchor this with some type of tie wire or baling wire. Rope will work if you have to, around a tree. They do make ground anchors for these. That's just one more thing you have to carry. You set this up in a game trail. You set this up on a path that you've seen activity in. You could easily carry 30 of them, no problem. You put these together with a small caliber rifle or a air rifle, you're gonna get some meat if you know what you're doing. Or you've got to think about that, of how much storable food you're going to carry and how much weight you're going to take up carrying that food versus how many tools you're going to carry. And traps, firearms, ammunition, they're just tools is all they are. Are you going to go tool heavy? Are you going to go item heavy? It depends on your preference and your skill set, things like that. So I've showed several different options for what you could carry in your inch bag. What I would carry is that I obviously have snares, and I have 5 or 6 here. I'd probably carry 20 or 30 snares, just myself. I would also carry at least 2 or 3 foothold traps. So just think about it when you're laying out your kit. You can go as food heavy as you like, but just know in a long-term situation, which is what this video is all about, that food's only going to last you so long, especially if you're with a group or a family. You can't carry enough storable food. Hone in your skills on doing these things, or you're not going to make it. It's as simple as that. You can prep all you want, you're not going to make it. End of the story. So I appreciate you guys joining us today for our inch bag series video on food and food procurement. This is just my opinion. I'm not any kind of survival expert by any means. I just know the skills that I have, and I try to play that to my strengths by using what I know that I can use and what I'm comfortable using. For each situation is different. For each person is different. If you guys have any questions or any comments or tips or hints or tricks for me to learn about trapping or anything like that, I'd love to hear them down in the comments. I read every comment. I try to reply to every single comment. We'll get into the firearm side of it more. We'll probably go ahead and do our fire kit next in the inch bag series. Again, this is Daniel with Family God and Country. I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you.